Hey everybody, welcome to Edpuzzle 1.0. So we're doing chapter 6. I know we're skipping around a little bit. First part of chapter 6, though, we're solving for variables. Okay. Another way and an easier way to think of this would be getting a variable on a side by itself. You probably hear me say that a lot. Okay, this is good practice for what we're going to be doing later in the chapter. Okay, so it's important to have a good foundation. I'm going to take a look at 6-3 to start. Going to work through some of those problems here. Okay, so they give you 2x plus y equals 3x minus 7. Okay, so they tell you to write it in y equals mx plus b form. So notice the y is on the side by itself. That's really what we're trying to do here. We want to get this y on the side by itself. Well, the only thing keeping it not by itself at the moment would be this 2x. So we got to move the 2x over. So now we have y equals 3x minus 2x would just be x. Okay, and now we have y equals x minus 7. So the y is on a side by itself is what we were looking for. And the rest of the equation on the right-hand side as x minus 7. Part B, x equals 2y plus 1. Okay, so we move the x over just like we did in A. So now we have 2y equals 2x plus 4. So we almost have the y on the side by itself, but we need to get rid of this 2. Okay, remember, so it's really 2 times y. So if we want to get rid of the 2, we have to divide everything by 2. Okay, and I'll see a lot of mistakes where people will only divide the x by 2 and forget about the 4. Just make sure that you divide everything by 2. Okay, so now our x is on the side by itself. Letter C, 3y plus 2 equals 2y minus 5x. So we subtract the 2y over, and we want y's on one side. So I have y plus 2 equals negative 5x. And then we just have to move the 2 over. So we get y equals negative 5x minus 2. Okay, I realize I'm going pretty fast. Okay, but the point that you guys get is that you have this video that you can pause, rewind, watch again as much as you need. Okay, D gets a little more complicated. We got this 2 out in front. We can do one of two things. We can multiply the 2 out first. However, since these are both even, I'm just going to divide both sides by 2. Makes it a little easier. Remember, do it to both. 2x divided by 2 is just x. Negative 6 divided by 2 would be negative 3. Add 3 to both sides. Y equals just x. E, 5 minus 3 times x plus 1 equals 2y minus 3x plus 2. All right. So a lot of different options here. The y is already on the right-hand side. I'm just going to choose to leave it over there, okay, as opposed to moving everything over here. I mean, you could really rewrite this with all of this on the left-hand side and all this on the right-hand side. Okay, I'm just going to leave the y on the right-hand side. Okay, but first I'm going to distribute this 3. So it's really a negative 3, so it should be minus 3x minus 3. A lot of people screw that up and leave that as a plus 3. Okay, so now I'm here. I'm going to add the 3x over. 5 minus 3, left that as positive 2, and then I subtract the 2 over. So I really get 0 plus 0 equals y, 2y. So I get 2y equals 0. Divide by 2, I'm still left with y equals 0. And then the last one, f here, x minus y plus 2 equals 2 times 2x plus 1. You'll notice they're just kind of adding more steps each time. Okay, so let's distribute this negative. So it becomes x minus y. Remember, since they're in parentheses, the negative's got to go to the 2 as well. And then I'm going to distribute this, so I get 4x plus 2. So I'm getting everything away from the y. It's still negative, and then I have 4x minus x should give me 3x. 2 plus 2 should be 4. Okay, and then the last step, there's a negative out in front of the y. We want it to be positive, so we got to divide everything by -1. Y equals negative 3x minus 4. Right, the other question that really kind of helps with this, 6-5, shows you a couple different ways to do it. So they give you some different formulas, a lot of different things. One on A is work is equal to force times distance. Okay. So they ask, what is the force needed to move a piano given the work applied and the distance d? So they're basically asking you solve for F. Okay, so we want to get F on a side by itself. So here we got to get rid of distance d. We got to move it to the other side. Since we're multiplying here, we have to divide here to get rid of those. So F would just equal work divided by distance. Okay, how much work would you need to apply? Divided by the distance would tell you how much force to use. Okay, they give you the formula to convert Fahrenheit into Celsius, like so. So this is the Fahrenheit equals 9 times Celsius divided by 5 plus 32. Okay, so let's say you wanted to solve for Celsius. Okay, so solve for Celsius. We got to move the 32 over first. Okay, so I get F minus 32 now equals 9c divided by 5. Okay, so lastly, not even lastly, middlely, okay, we got to move the 5 over. Since we're dividing by 5, how do we get rid of it? Opposite of dividing would be multiplying. So we're going to multiply this whole side by 5. So we get 5 times F minus 32 equals 9c. I'm kind of running out of room. Okay, then lastly, actually this time, divide everything by 9. So Celsius equals 5 times Fahrenheit minus 32 divided by 9. Okay, so the last one, they use Greek symbols. Okay, rho equals mass divided by volume. Okay, they ask you to solve for mass. So we got to get rid of volume over here. Since we're dividing by volume, we have to multiply it to the other side. So rho times volume is going to give you the mass that we're looking for. On the next section, 6-13. Okay, gives you a whole bunch of practice. Okay, my advice would be to pause right here and go and practice A through H on 6-13 and then proceed to watch me do them. Okay. So letter A says A equals 1/2 base times height. They said solve for H. Okay, so we're trying to get H on a side by itself. Okay, well, multiplying by 1/2 or dividing by 2, easiest way to get rid of that would be to multiply everything by 2. So now I have 2A equals base times height, and then I got to get rid of the B. So I divide both sides by B. So the height of the triangle is 2 times the area divided by the base. Letter B just says to solve for X, and they give you a whole long thing here. All right, so let's distribute this. So now I have 2x squared minus x equals 2x squared plus 5x minus 12. Okay, if I subtract the 2x squared from both sides, those will cancel. I'm left with this. Now I'm going to move the 5x over. Now I have negative 6x equals negative 12. Divide by negative 6, and after all that, x should just equal 2. C gives you 3x plus 6y equals 24. They tell you to solve for y. So I got to move the 3x over. 6y equals negative 3x plus 24. Divide by 6. Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 4. D, once again, to solve for x, 2 minus 3 times 2x minus 1 equals negative 6x plus 5. Okay, distribute this negative 3 up here. So again, it has to be negative 6x, and then it's a negative times a negative. So that has to be a positive 3. My guess is a lot of you made that a negative 3. Okay, combine like terms, I have a 2 and a 3 over here, so I get negative 6x plus 5 equals negative 6x plus 5. Okay, everything's going to cancel out. Okay, so add the 6x over here, subtract the 5 here, and I get 0 equals 0. Okay, since this is a true statement, x equals all real numbers. Okay, since we get a true statement here of 0 equals 0, that's a true statement. And what that signifies is we can plug in a number we want for x, and it's going to give us a true statement. So if I plugged in 9 right here for x and 9 right here for this x, okay, it's going to equal itself and we're going to be good there. My guess is one of these is going to show us one that's not going to be a true statement, and we'll talk about that. Letter E, 2 times 5x plus z. Always draw your z's with the line in the middle like that, or else they look like 2's. Just a little advice. So E wants us to solve for x again. So let's distribute 10x plus 2z. See, you got to make them look different. 30x plus 3y plus 10. All right, I got to move the 2z over here. I got to move the 30x over here. Negative 20x on the left. I get 3y plus 10 minus 2z. Okay, and then the last thing would be to divide everything by negative 20. Does it look pretty? No, but that's okay. Negative 3y over 20. This is just going to be minus 1/2. Negative 2z divided by negative 20 would be a positive 1z over 10. That's ugly, but it is what it is. Okay, now F, solve for x. We get 4x times x plus 1 equals 2x minus 3 times 2x plus 5. So we distribute the 4x, which gives me 4x squared plus 4x. Okay. You might have done this last year. You might not have. Okay. Multiplying binomials. You get 2x minus 3, right? I'm just taking the 2 and I'm putting it there, negative 3 there. And I get the 2x and the 5. Okay. You might also have learned how to FOIL. We won't give you stuff like this until probably later in the year. Okay, but I get 2x times 2x and I put it in this squared, which is 4x squared. This square, I'm going to write negative 3 times 2x, which is negative 6x. 2x times 5 goes in this one for 10x, and then negative 3 times 5 goes there. So I have 4x squared minus 6x plus 10x minus 15. Can combine like terms in the middle there. 4x squared plus 4x minus 15. So notice what's going to happen here. Okay, I move the 4x squared over. I can move the 4x over. Everything's going to cancel, and I get 0 equals 15. That's a 0, not a 6. Okay, is that a true statement? It is not. 0 does not equal 15. So that means there are no solutions. Okay, so if all the variables cancel out, if you get a true statement, it means solution is all real numbers. If you do not get a true statement, that means there's no solutions. Plus x, no, I'm doing that right. Equals 35 for G. Distribute the 5 gives me negative 15 plus 5x equals 35. Add 15. We're solving for x, so I get 5x equals 50. Should give me an answer of 10. And then on H, so it tells us to solve for M, given that A equals F divided by M. Okay. So we got to get m on a side by itself. Easiest way to do it would be to multiply both sides by m. So I have m times a equals f. Now I'm going to divide everything by a. So now I have m on a side by itself.